A quick and casual word about President Donald Trump's great achievements so far. Welcome, Swagatham. Welcome particularly to our brothers and sisters in the United States of America. God save America. Well, Donald Trump assumed office as the 47th President of the United States with great aplomb. I don't think there is a comparable instance of a person occupying a high seat, creating such a big impact overnight. He managed to make himself the center of global attraction. Attraction or anxiety or repulsion, we shall wait and see. But he has ensconced himself right at the center of the affairs of the world. You might say that that's a great achievement. Well, it's a dramatic achievement. Being a student of the English language and as someone who respects all languages, including the languages I don't know, I attach sanctity to the meaning of words. To me, the word great means a lot. Therefore, when Donald Trump promises to make America great again, it raises my hackles. I suddenly sit up and wonder, what is he up to? What is his action program or program of action to make America great again? Well, that by and by. Let me, in this video, limit myself to some of the great achievements of President Donald Trump. I think the very first achievement, and perhaps the greatest of his achievements hitherto, till this moment, is that he has exposed the weakness of America. I don't know if you have noticed this. I don't know if others are talking about it. But to me, his most significant achievement till now is a near complete expose of the weakness of America. And to understand this, to see this in perspective, all you have to do is consider the way he is dealing with Putin. You ask anyone who has even a nodding acquaintance of diplomacy, acquaintance with diplomacy or international relations. It's appalling, it is shocking that Donald Trump went about the business of negotiating peace between Russia and Ukraine by conceding in advance, even before the negotiations began, the major demands of Russia. Very little actually remains to be negotiated. It's an abject surrender to the arbitrary will of Putin. Now, what this indicates is, which is part of Donald Trump's great achievement, he has betrayed a near complete ignorance of Putin as a character. I really don't think he understands Putin. Putin is the classic imperialist. He is the wiliest imperialist we have seen, say, if you take 20th century, 21st century together. He is the wiliest imperialist you can ever imagine. After all, he has come through the ranks of the Gestapo. It's very dangerous to underestimate him. It's very dangerous to assume that you can lead him by the nose, as President Donald Trump, in his hubris, unlimited, boundless hubris, thinks he can. I make a very safe prediction today. Donald Trump, in dealing with Putin, will end up with his nose in the mud. That's my prediction. Mark my words. This will prove correct. If President Donald Trump goes on dealing with Putin the way he has done so far, he'll end up with egg on his face, his nose in the mud. Make no doubt about it. Because Putin is very different from what Trump and maybe the wise men around him assume him to be. The second thing, or maybe the third thing that Donald Trump has achieved, which is part of the same syndrome, same phenomenon, is that he has exposed the weakness of Europe in front of Putin. As long as the unity between America and Europe stayed intact, Putin had great need to worry. As a matter of fact, Putin started this Ukraine war, the special operations as he called it. Now people do not understand the meaning of the words that he used. He truly meant it to be a special operation. What do you think is the meaning of special operation? It certainly has the meaning that the scope of this operation goes way beyond what seems on the surface. That's what it means. And the special part of this operation will come to light one after the other in course of time. And America under Donald Trump will find it very hard to chew what it has bitten. So, one special aspect of the operations that Putin launched via his invasion of Ukraine, the true nature of which he underestimated, all right. I mean, that's something surprising because even today I can't believe that Putin was unrealistic about what he would encounter by way of resistance in the Ukraine operations, which had at the beginning the stated intention of regime change. But the script played out differently. That's not my immediate subject, so no further words on that. Now, one of the special purposes in launching this very, very carefully calibrated military enterprise was to drive a wedge between America and Europe, to expose the hollowness of the Europe transatlantic understanding, or a bonhomie or treaty or whatever, and the inadequacy also of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now, you tell me whether or not Putin is achieving that goal. Has he not succeeded in exposing to a startling extent, exposing even to the eyes of the European leaders, the inadequacy of the arrangement that was in place? Look at the consternation now gripping the capitals of the major European countries. Consider the hastily called consultation, informal as it seems, in Paris, initiated by the French President Macron. Look at the disorientation that the major European leaders are displaying in public. They're stunned. So Putin has succeeded in exposing this whole thing as a sham. Europe suddenly realizes that it is nothing without Trump, and Trump therefore concludes very safely that he can play merry hell with Europe, and it doesn't matter what understanding prevailed before he became president, or what must happen after he ceases to be president. While he's occupying the chair, he'll play ball with it. That's Trump, pure and simple. So, the achievement so far is disastrous, both to America and to Europe, and maybe to many countries besides. Again, that's something that I will not deal with it in this video. Why should we finish everything in one unit? So these are the various aspects of the same major achievement. Now, in order to do that, in order to cover up the nakedness that becomes visible through this exercise, What Trump is doing is he's treating Zelensky as the president of Ukraine and the people of Ukraine in the most shabby manner. You can't imagine a treatment shabbier than this, meted out to a country, a people, and its president. Can you imagine the destiny of a nation being determined by two forces somewhere else without any involvement of anyone from that country? Can you ever imagine? Suppose there is a quarrel between you and your neighbor. Okay? A third party comes and says, I will settle the dispute between these two people, these two families. And what does he do? He calls your neighbor, takes him to a restaurant or a resort or whatever, and has conversations, parleys and parleys. And you want to know what's happening? You say, no, you have no right to know. How dare you ask? How terribly impertinent on your part to want to know what's going to happen to you. That's exactly how Trump is treating Zelensky and Ukraine. And the whole world is watching. Perhaps this is Trump's idea of making America great again, behaving boorishly on the global stage. I don't think this way of dealing with the Russia-Ukraine war can be just legitimized, excused on any internationally recognized principle whatsoever. Except one principle, which is that might is right. And to the extent that Putin and Donald Trump are mightier than Zelensky, they can treat him like a stray dog, a bitch on the road. You can kick if you like. But thank God Zelensky is indicating that he will not be treated that manner. We shall see how far that carries him. It's not easy being a Zelensky at this point in time. My sympathies are entirely with him. My heart goes out to him. Ukraine has been taken for a ride, a merciless, cruel, unjust ride by America, Great Britain and Putin through the Budapest Accord. Ukraine was disarmed. Ukraine was one of the major nuclear forces in the world. It had a substantial nuclear arsenal of 1,900 nuclear warheads. And if Ukraine had retained its arsenal, nuclear arsenal, Putin wouldn't have come anywhere near it. He wouldn't have dreamt of such an adventure. So America and Great Britain are singularly responsible for landing Ukraine in this kind of pickle. And now America has washed its hands off. Britain is trying to make some important statements which everybody knows it cannot honor because it doesn't have the muscle and the money. Ukraine has been sacrificed. Great, terrible injustice, unimaginable, unspeakable injustice has been done. America, Great Britain and Russia were party to guaranteeing the security and territorial integrity of Ukraine. And what did Putin do? Having accepted all that, 2014 he marches into Crimea, takes over that strategically important port city in no time. He waits 10 more years and he launches an, not 10 more, 9 more years, and he launches an attack. And now this time he thinks he can gobble up Crimea as a whole. And European nations, particularly in the vicinity of Russia, know that their turn will come, that therefore they are all seriously terrified. Does our friend Donald Trump care for it? No. That's nowhere near his conscience. Now, this is nothing but a public display of weakness combined with carelessness. And both together actually constitute the profile of a coward. There's a lot of cowardice at play in all this. Please understand. America, as of now, whether it is Joe Biden or Trump, there is one common factor. America does not know how to deal with Putin. America is terrified of Putin. Period. That's how the Ukraine war has been conducted, how America positioned itself in relation to this conflict, which actually was originated because of America. America is singularly responsible for this because America wanted the Ukrainian theater of war to bleed Russia into some kind of weakness. But American calculation misfired in this context, or seemingly it did. But actually, the war was taking its toll on Russia. It was beginning to have visible effect, but precisely at that time, the most ill-advised manner, Trump gets into the whole issue like a bull in a china shop and makes a complete royal mess of the whole thing. And Putin must be laughing all the way to Kremlin. He must be saying in his heart, this fellow Trump, what a fool he is. What a bumptious idiot he is. That is precisely, I'm sure that's what Putin is saying in his heart. He must be laughing. And this is certainly an achievement. Well, there's another achievement that we can credit to Donald Trump, and that is he has redefined the American idea of greatness. For example, if Trump's idea of greatness is what holds currency for the United States. Greatness means acting entirely out of crass, heartless selfishness. So what is Trump's recipe for making America great again? America first. America will take care of its own interest. The rest of the world can go to dogs. That's how America will become great. No one asked the question, Mr. Trump, what's your idea of greatness? No one dares to ask him that simple question, obvious question. Mr. Trump, what's your idea of greatness? You're out to make America great again, right? Good, very good indeed. But what do you mean by greatness? So, his recipe for greatness is, number one, be as mercilessly, brutally selfish as you can, then you will be great. Number two, you can make America great again by destroying American credibility completely on the global scenario. Tell me, after watching Trump in action for the last 3 weeks, which country in the world will trust United States of America? Please tell me. I wouldn't trust Trump or American government to the worth of a pin if this is the way America deals with its allies, long-term allies. It's not the allies of yesterday or day before, long-term allies, sown allies. American credibility today is zilch. That's an achievement. That's Trump's achievement. Now, in this context, I have a word for my Prime Minister, poor Narendra Modi. I say this with a lot of pain in my heart. I feel that my Prime Minister was humiliated in Washington. I feel that Trump humiliated my Prime Minister. I may or may not agree with his political ideology or his economic vision for India. But Modi is my Prime Minister. Modi represents the largest functioning democracy, well, let's say functioning democracy in the world. He is not a pushover. He is not someone to be taken for granted. And the way Modi was treated by Donald Trump, not only during the time that they were in conversation with each other, but even in the immediate hours and days preceding Modi's visit, and the outcome of the interactions, everything amounted to an unmistakable gross insult to my Prime Minister. On the basis of that, I would like to make a request to Modi. Please don't quote Donald Trump. It will do you and the country no good. In fact, India must get out of this habit of courting, placating, pleasing external forces. We have suffered from external forces long enough. For 1,000 years, we have been under foreign domination. That's enough. Enough is enough. Mr. Prime Minister, you've been talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, the self-reliant India. But please consider, how do you create Atmanirbhar Bharat? You cannot command respect and gravity in the global arena if domestically you are weak. This is not rocket science. It is so obvious, palpable. So unless and until you put your house in order, unless and until you unleash the awesome energies of India that have remained frozen for centuries because of a negative worldview, negative attitude, discriminatory policies, discriminatory mindset, a country chopped up into castes and subcastes, all kinds of roadblocks to unity. The true energy, the true genius of India has never been articulated, even to the tune of 10%. I believe in the absolute genius of India. I don't think there is any other people. We talk about China. We look at China with great admiration. China merits our admiration today. We can do better than China. I believe it. But for that, we have to put our house in order. We have to rid ourselves of, we have to heal ourselves of this negativity which is killing us. And particularly this political ideology of divide and rule, the politics of hatred, the cult of negativity, the malicious delight derived from excluding some 20 crores, 200 million people, which is greater than the population of nearly 80, 90 countries in the world. The minorities in India are more numerous than the total populations of some 100 countries in the world, or even more. How can you sideline such a huge segment of the Indian population? Also, why is it that we are still reluctant to invest in education? Because education is the only means by which the energies of India, awesome energies of India, can be unleashed. How will you compete with China? How will you compete with any other nation in the world? How will you compete even with Bangladesh if you do not really unleash this awesome potential, incredible energies of India? Running around hugging people, trying to placate them, flatter them, or say things that might be pleasing to them is no substitute for this. No one will take you seriously if you don't show yourself, if you don't prove your mettle at home. Anyone who is a failure, a disastrous failure at home, will be an object of ridicule outside of the home. That's a simple, universal principle. Anyway, I hope my Prime Minister comes out of this very humiliating experience a lot wiser. The good thing about the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, is that he's a good learner. I believe in it. He's a good learner. And I don't think what happened in Washington will be repeated. I'd be very surprised if Modi lends himself to a repetition of a similar spell of self-humiliation. Anyway, this also must be credited to the achievement of Donald Trump. He has managed to humiliate the Prime Minister of the greatest, largest democracy in the world. Besides all this, he has also achieved the global image of being a real estate tycoon who thinks only in terms of dollar and dime, and who cannot see human beings, but sees dollar wherever he looks. Whether it is Gaza, whether it is Canada, Mexico, Greenland, Panama Canal, it's dollar, dollar, dollar. Money, money, money must be funny in Donald's world. That's the only thing he knows. So I hope Donald Trump takes a little time to stand aside and look at his great achievements so far and realize that the world is not a nursery where somebody can display his childish pranks and expect the rest of the world to acclaim him as the greatest modern embodiment of greatness. No, Mr. Trump, the word great has very clear, specific meanings. Please turn to your dictionary. You can afford one, can't you? Look at the word greatness. Read a little bit of philosophy now and then. Read Greek philosophy a little bit. You'll get some idea. Read Stoic philosophy a little bit. Not much. You'll get some idea of greatness. And if you don't mind, read the teachings of Jesus Christ. You'll get some idea of greatness. Really, I tell you. It's a good thing. After all, you claim to be a Christian, no? You won because of Christian support? Christians like you? Please, there's something called the Bible. Please read. Just don't read all the four Gospels because then you will faint. Read only the smallest of the four Gospels, Gospel of Mark. Once in a while, please. Then you'll get some idea, some experience of greatness. And please ask yourself the question, because you say that you're a Christian and you believe in religion and you believe that a nation cannot live without religion and you consider America to be a Christian country, please ask a question. What is the connection between what you are doing and what you are showcasing yourself to be and the idea of being human as found in the teachings of Jesus Christ? How would you fare if that yardstick is applied to you, your idea of greatness? I know it would be very painful, but since you occupy such a great exalted office, and the consequences of what you say, do and think will affect millions and in fact billions of people, I make bold to request you, please spend just 5 minutes a day only doing one thing, exploring the meaning of greatness as applied to human species. Thank you, and thank you in anticipation. And like you are, I also say, God save America. But when I say that, I have a different feeling, quite different to your feelings. So I say it again, God save America, because as of now, only God can save America. Thank you, thank you, thank you indeed.